If you're an attorney that struggles with getting home in time for dinner, or taking a vacation without your cell phone and your laptop attached to your hip, or maybe you just can't figure out why you don't make more money based on your education level and the service that you give to your clients. Maybe you're an attorney who wonders, why can't my law firm operate without my constant presence? Or finally, maybe you're thinking to yourself, I wonder if I can ever retire from my firm. Maybe I'm going to have to work right to my dying day, like so many other attorneys before me have done. Well, hi, my name is Richard James, and I created EA Nation so that you could learn how to build a law firm that supports your lifestyle as compared to undermining your lifestyle. EA Nation stands for Entrepreneurial Attorney Nation, and we join together, whether they're like-minded entrepreneurial attorneys, to unpack the secrets to how to do just that. And I want to help you build your law firm better, one system at a time. So without further ado, let's get started with this next episode. Welcome, everybody, to EA Nation. We are in this month's interview with an expert call. My name is Richard James, and this month we're going to be talking about this idea of, do you hate social media? I mean, have you gotten to the point where you just are sick of social media? I know I have personally. I don't even like to have social media on my cell phone. I don't have, I don't use it on the computer. I'm just not a social media individual. I don't go out there and organically put posts on there any longer, whether it's because I just got overwhelmed by the feeling of guilt by not saying thank you to everybody who wished me happy birthday, or I just got sickened by the political environment over the last year. Whatever it is, I don't have it on my phone. However, social media still remains the number one lead source in our in my consulting firm, and it remains the number one lead source in many law firms that I work with as well. Not only for generating leads, but also for nurturing unconverted leads, as well as just creating relationships with their community and participating with their community. And oftentimes these social media campaigns are run by other companies. And today we really want to talk about how to properly use social media in your law firm to attract leads, to nurture community, to convert the unconverted leads so that we can actually have somebody else do it besides you. So we won't go nuts from social media. We'll actually use it to our advantage. So while you couldn't go on my cell phone and actually find social media listed on here. It's not going to be there. Like you can't find Facebook logged in, but that doesn't mean, as I said, that it's not a valuable asset to me. And so we're going to be introducing our guest who's an expert in this field, and she really knows how to manage social media organically. She's built her company around this, and so we'll talk to her about that. And so without further ado, let's break into this idea of using social media marketing in a way that doesn't drive you crazy and actually drives your business. And so we've got with us our in-house expert, Erica Merrill. She's with Perfect Legal Video. And Erica has really figured out how to not only use video, but also just organic social media management to help you manage that presence that really in today's day and age is required of a business so that you can stay in touch with your community. Erica, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay. And boy, I was getting a little nervous there at the beginning of your intro.
Right? I hate social media, right? Sorry. I know it's near and dear to you, but I just can't do it. Even though, Eric, I will tell you that I am sitting, at night at my dining room table, I'm sitting in a chair that if it weren't for social media, I wouldn't own, because my wife, when we moved into our home in North Carolina, could not get any of the furniture stores to actually sell her furniture and deliver it to her because they're all back ordered on everything. So she went out Facebook marketplacing and found all of our furniture, right?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, which I thought was great. It's like luxury at a discount. So I actually have a chair to sit in because my wife went out and used social media's power. So listen, social media has its place. It's a wonderful tool. It's just not something that I use personally. All my friends and family think I'm on there because we advertise on there like crazy. So they assume I'm on there, but I'm not. Like I don't see anybody's pictures or their updates or their posts. And yet it produces the highest revenue for our firm of any other lead source that we have. So it works. So let's talk about, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and who you are, and then you can break into your slides and I'll just follow along and ask you some questions.
Okay. And I don't want you to feel bad because there are plenty of attorneys that I work with that start off our relationship with, I really hate video and or I really hate social media. In fact, I just had one start with me a couple of weeks ago. Attorney Scott Stewart was like, I just hate it, but we have to do it. So I'm like, all right, well, we'll make it as painless as possible and make sure that you don't have to spend any time doing this and that you look great. And that's really the big thing. So most of you know me, I exclusively work with Richard James attorneys, and I've been doing that for I think at least 4 years or somewhere around 4 years now. But prior to that, I had a relationship for a couple of years with Richard James through doing his LinkedIn email marketing. And so that was a really great lead source for him. And when that changed with LinkedIn and they changed the rules, I had to find something else I love to do. And so I created Perfect Legal Video. And, you know, videos can be used 10 different ways in the marketing. And although I wrote a course on it, several courses on that and social media, attorneys just weren't doing it because they all hate social media. So I expanded into social media to help them just launch all of the content that we have. And we're able to turn that also into infographics and, you know, videos and other different types of posts. And we make sure we hit holidays, and we're going to show you lots of examples today.
You know, I tell you about Erica, there is a message in that, right? So as an entrepreneur, you know, so the attorneys that are on the call today traditionally would consider themselves entrepreneurial minded attorneys because that's who we attract. We typically repel anybody who does not see their law firm as a business. So they are a business owner that happens to offer law as their business. You're an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur. And at times in an entrepreneurship career, we have to identify opportunities to pivot. And so there you had a macroeconomic change, like the primary medium you used in LinkedIn to generate leads for your clients and generate revenue for your firm changed. By no fault of your own, they just decided that they were going to change the game. And so you had to decide to pivot. And what I find with law firms is that there are required periods of pivots in their life as well, depending on macroeconomic situations that happen, laws that change, rules or guidelines that change, lead sources that no longer work, lead sources that are working better than others. Whatever it is, they have to learn to pivot. So being nimble and you being willing to make that pivot and go into a new direction to find another way to serve your clients and help them get value in their businesses, kudos to you. So congratulations on that. Speaking of that change, that's another really important thing. Like Facebook and social media, they change the rules all the time, don't they?
They do. Yep. And that's why I concentrate on organic.
Yeah, because organic isn't really subject to those rules. Is that correct?
Yeah, you know, you can post things as long as they're appropriate. And if you can optimize those and have your contact information up there, have a call to action, you know, have tags on there, then your organic content is going to perform better than most people's.
Yep. Patrick McBurney, you asked me, how did LinkedIn change and how do we fix it? How did it break and how we fix it? The answer is it broke because it didn't let us do what we used to do, which was send messages a certain way and get open. So it was like one of our lists, and we didn't fix it. We weren't able to actually go back to fixing it. I had to hire somebody in-house to do a whole bunch of manual labor over and over again to make it work. And that's the only way we get LinkedIn to work. Much of what, you know, yes, sure, Erica's team does for you through Facebook and other mediums, we had to figure out how to do with LinkedIn years ago. But it's just manual labor. There's not a lot of systems or automation you can put into place. You just have to do it manually. So Erica, back to you. You want to start sharing your slides and walk people through what you have to share with them today?
Sure, absolutely. Let me find it. We already brought it up once, and here it is. Okay.
There it is.
Good. You see it? It's beautiful.
Yes,
all
ma'am.
Right. All right. So here it is. It's what should attorneys post on social media to stand out from the competition? Now, you probably have noticed people do post occasionally on their business page and they have the best of intentions, but then they get busy and they drop off. And sometimes people just don't know what to post. I have a client who left me during COVID. She'd only started for a couple of months, and now she just posts pictures of herself and her team, which is really nice, but she doesn't really mix it up. And so what you'll see here is that we mix it up, and we are constantly adding new types of posts to generate more interest. And we just started doing cartoons last week. And that's tricky because comedy's always tricky.
Comedy's hard, period.
It-
So
it-
are you going to talk to us at all about the difference between organic and paid? Is that part of what you're going to talk to us today about, or should I ask a question about that?
I mean, we can look at it. Let me look at my first slide here because I know it's got
Yeah.
some good explanations.
There we go. That's a great idea. Yeah, let's do that.
Adding a little automation there, a little animation. Okay, so this is what most people see. I'm going to put this down here so I can actually see the entire slide. All right, so usually with social media, most people have blogs. Most people have, well, not most people don't have video, but some people do. And some people have articles here and there, and not everybody has testimonials. And if you're not using testimonials, that's a huge miss. You're probably missing out on hundreds of thousands of dollars with just testimonials. And I do have a slide on that later. Where you put social media, you can put it, website. There's 5 different major social media platforms. We've got email campaigns. You can use a lot of the same content there, and you can use a lot of the content in ads. And so I do have one little word here for ads. I don't focus on it. I think that it takes a little bit to get paid ads right. And I just was never interested in doing that. But the people that know how to do it are great. And I don't compete with those people. A lot of times they can even use the content that I make for the ads. And so I know you've got some great people doing that already.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't want to, I'll unpack that more in a second. Let me let you finish explaining your slide here, and then I've got some questions I want to ask.
Okay. And here's some of the places that most people don't post, some of the things that most people don't post. They don't usually post inspirational quotes. I actually had an attorney come up to me at the last event and say, I think that's stupid. And I love honesty, but and it may not be for everyone. And some people might think it's hooey, but I have to say a lot of times the inspirational quotes with your branding on it, they get some of the highest comments, and people like to be, uplifted during the day by what they see on social media. So it's nice to mix it up with a little more than just education on law and some pretty tough topics that are out there when it has to do with law. So we like that. Testimonials. We have a couple different ways we post testimonials. We can just do a stagnant post that is beautiful and has your branding on it. We can also do testimonials where we videotape your actual client, and we can edit that and make it look good. But we also have a way that we started doing about 6 months ago where I just use my own B-roll video. I have, gorgeous B-roll clips that I can use. By B-roll, I mean, it's a shot of, maybe it's a shot of some wildlife, or maybe it's a shot of a clock ticking for time, or, there's just so many different things, but it's just sitting there, and I can add beautiful music to it. And then your testimonial will scroll over it, or maybe I'll also do the stagnant one, and that'll be on the right-hand side, it along with the video. So there's a few different ways, and we're very flexible about how we do that. We do weekly expert interviews with some of our clients. And so just like we're doing here today, I would take this, I would edit it, and I would put it up all over their social media, and I would optimize it on YouTube as well. And then vlogs are just, if you're just doing just a straight explanation of a frequently asked question or something like that. And then the infographics are the newest, and those are great because most people don't have time to read a whole article. Some people don't have time to watch a whole video, but we can make a very succinct in social media post, and it's beautiful, it's eye-catching, but it gives out the right information. So, what are the steps into Chapter 7 bankruptcy? there are plenty of definitions of
Sure.
legal terms like qualified immunity. That's up in the news lately for my criminal attorneys. We've posted that. There's just a lot of great things you can do in that area, and not many people are doing it.
Yeah,
Um,
so I think if I can just interrupt you real quick. So we had a couple of comments. Ron Drescher, I agree with you, Ron. No, I'm not going to get crude, but Dan Kennedy has a joke about somebody who says that the sex was bad and it's because you're not doing it right. Well, yeah, if you think there's something wrong with inspirational quotes on social media, it's because it's not being done right. So here's the thing about what Erica just laid out for us. So I want to put it into my language real quick, which is, the borrowed language that we've always talked about from Dan Kennedy is this message, media, market, match triangle, right? So if we have we want to have the right message using the right media, getting to the right market, and we end up with this perfect triangle. And when we get that triangle, we maximize traffic, we maximize conversion of that traffic, and we maximize lead flow and minimize typically cost per client acquisition, because we're able to convert through what we call the perfect client lifecycle. But so when you look at what Erica just laid out, we've got the content, blogs, videos, articles, testimonials. That's the type of content. So that's the message, right? And then we have the media. So the media in this case was websites, social media, email campaigns, and ads based on what you're talking about. Media also, by the way, is TV, newspapers, radio, direct mail. There's lots of different types of media. In this particular case, she's talking about internet-based media. And inside of that, we're talking about social media and the 5 different major social media platforms that you use to put your message out there. So you have your message, you have your market, you have your media, and you have your market. And your market is your desired target market. So I have a question for you, Erica. As people are using social media differently, whether it be LinkedIn or Facebook or others, there's the opportunity to develop groups of like-minded individuals that are having a conversation about a common theme. Do you get involved with supporting or posting inside of attorneys groups that they may have formed? Is that something that you do? Is that something that you know about?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we absolutely can do that. As you know, when I did LinkedIn, it was all about groups. We were emailing into groups, but we weren't posting content. Right now, I post on attorneys' personal and business pages. Some people don't want certain things on their personal. Some people just want it on their business. That's fine. If somebody also had a group, it would be very easy for me to go in and post all of this content in there.
Yeah, and the other thing about social media and the power of it is that it helps further identify, when you do organic correctly and post to your business page and develop likes and things, the folks in the paid world who have a necessary place in our overall marketing strategy and tactics, the people in those places can use the data and use the connection of your organic business page posts and groups that you have to start to create groups that are attracted to you already. So like-minded groups, and will help them hone in on the reach of people who would be interested in talking to you about what it is that you do. So again, message, media, market, match. It's really what we're talking about here. The other thing I think that Erica said that was super important, whenever we talk about, like, let's say a newsletter, if a firm is going to come to me and say, hey, I want to put out a newsletter, what should it be about? Well, a newsletter should be where I see most attorneys make the mistake in a lot of their content, their social media posts, as Erica was talking about, and things like newsletters, is they do like 90% legal issues and 10% non-relevant legal issues. That's like, all of this stuff should be seen much more like a Tupperware party. I know I'm dating myself. But if you've ever been to a Tupperware party, or you've been married to a spouse, or your mom ran a Tupperware party, you know that what happens at a Tupperware party is you don't come in and start selling Tupperware as soon as you walk through the door. What happens at a Tupperware party is the host has everybody in. They usually have some sort of libation, drinks, food, snacks, whatever. There's just light talk and chatter amongst the people who are at the Tupperware party. and then what happens, there is some form of presentation. But usually, like, the Tupperware party is supposed to be designed so it's 70 to 80% non-relevant content, meaning you're not trying to sell the Tupperware. Only 20% or 30% of the content is supposed to be selling the Tupperware. So the same truth holds true here, which is in social media, and Erica, tell me if I'm wrong, but really we don't want it to be all about business. As you said, we want to be able to have non-relevant, social-like, relationship-like building content 70 to 80% of the time, and only like 20% of the time putting out their very specific legal topic type of conversation. Would you agree with that?
I absolutely agree. And you and I have a mutual friend in Sean Buck, and I know a lot of people know who he is. And
Yeah.
I've read his book and I've heard his presentations. And honestly, when I was thinking about how I wanted to do this and what I wanted to post, I thought of that same exact thing. I mean, the newsletters are not just about the law. It's nice to have some up and coming things. It's nice to be able to have your finger on the pulse of the changes, especially now with the pandemic, but people need a break. And so when you have other things on your page that are non-related, or you can make it a little more palatable by making it look different and more enjoyable than normal, than just a regular blog, then I think you're winning.
Cool. So let's get to that final quadrant you have there where you talk about consistency, where the magic is. What's this all about?
This is where people usually fail. I'm doing something that people could do themselves if they wanted to, for
Right.
sure. And that's, we're going to have a teaching moment. I'm sure some people are going to walk away and say they're going to try it themselves.
Yeah.
And I get that when I see people at the conference too. And I always encourage that. I'm never going to say, don't go try to do it yourself. I'm just going to say, you're not a social media expert and you probably don't have time to do this, because some of it is very time consuming and some of it you don't have the skill for. So we create all of this from scratch, most of it.
But again, if they, the point of today's conversation, if they felt like they wanted to do it themselves, we're going to try to arm them to do that. So if they were going to do it themselves, what would you tell them to do?
I would say definitely put it in a schedule, make it consistent. So what we normally do is we'll do a different type of post every day. That's what we try to do, or several times a week. And if you think you're not going to have the time, don't start off with, I'm going to do this every day. Do it once a week to start. Right. Just be consistent, and then move it up from then. If you think it's easy to just find an inspirational quote to post on there once in a while, definitely do that. If you think it's easy to just put a definition or a picture of the people in your office, absolutely do that. And then as you find you have more time, or if you really want to take things up a notch, then add a different one and add a second and a third post a week. That's what I would say. But don't do it full on for 2 weeks and then don't do it for 2 more weeks, and then, oh, it didn't work, and then throw in the towel, because
so question about that. Do you recommend that they use a software to do that, or just do it manually? Like, do they use, the softwares that are out there? There's lots of them. One of the more popular ones is Hootsuite. Ron,
yeah, don't do that.
Would you rather them do it manually?
Yeah, because as you know, I had the LinkedIn business, and we did use a software and bots to do what we did. Right. And, they are just getting smarter and smarter. That was the problem. They were able to detect the bots, and they will penalize you by, not putting your post at the top. It won't matter what you do if you're putting it out there through. I mean, it's good to just get it. If that's the only way you can do it, then do it. You'll get something. Right. But it's really better if you do it manually, and that's what we do. We don't do anything.
That's the point I wanted you to make, that, you and I have personal experience using bots and trying to automate it. And when it works great. It's like a dream, right? Yeah. But it doesn't always, it's at some point, the social media platforms catch on, and they, as you said, penalize you. In LinkedIn's case, they outright banned you from being able to post anymore for a period of time. Yeah. So you really got to be careful with automation. Now, let's talk about this next point: use it everywhere, audience building, and call to action. Let's talk about those.
Well, use it everywhere. I mean, I've listed a lot of places that you can use it. There's 5 social media platforms.
Just to
Um,
be everybody's clear, what
just
are
to
the
be
5 you
clear,
want?
I typically do Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube when it's a video.
Yeah.
And so those are the main ones. Now, I know there's a whole bunch of other ones uh, that are coming out that are new that you might be able to get some information, something interesting off of, but I'm not going to be
We're not
every
going to do our TikTok dance. Like we're not going
Yeah.
is that, is that enough? Did I?
I've had clients ask me, and it's like I just can't do anymore. I'm not going to try to figure like there's definitely it's a little different with everything that you have. So, different size pictures that you can use and different amounts of words you can use. And so it's already got a lot of moving parts and it works. So
Yeah, but
it's
the ones you mentioned are the 800-pound gorillas. If you're going to
they
get
are.
those right, that's what you really want to, that's where you want to start. So let's talk about this audience building. What is that?
I mean, a lot of times with social media, the audience gets built naturally
Yeah.
because people find you because we have everything optimized as far as tags and you're being consistent and people are just going to start noticing. It's just like a newsletter. You're not going to see results right away the first month or two, but you'll see it start to grow consistently every single week. And before you know it, you're going to say, wow, I've just added 100 more people, 200 more people, and I didn't have to pay for it other than getting the content out there consistently and having it be quality.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true. So so Michael, as many of you know, my son Michael, his primary business is the Wix Training Academy. So he's the global leading influencer for Wix.com. Cool. Well, he gets paid by that, and his girlfriend Delaney has decided she wants to be a YouTube professional as well on the side. So she's built like a French bulldog video series where she talks. They own a French bulldog, and so but now YouTube says you have to get to a certain point of number of subscribers before they'll allow you to add monetization to your channel, which means you can ultimately get paid on ad shares and subscriptions and things of that nature. So, but what's interesting is she started with the first video, and she wasn't it was her roughest video. It wasn't the best video. And now she's on her, whatever, let's call it 30th video. And she's much better. She's a better professional. She's more engaging, and she's developed comments and followers all along. And now she's just at the point where she's going to be able to add monetization. But there's no other way to build an audience than to do it consistently, as you said, post at the same time every week, the same day of the week, making sure that you're consistently putting your message out there, developing a formula and a format for your message. So I completely agree. These media platforms will start to build an audience for you. The more people that interact with your content, the more people that like your content, subscribe to your content, comment on your content, the social media platform loves engagement, and they will then feed you back more visitors because you gave them good quality content that people were engaged with. Do you find that to be true, Erica?
Yeah, I absolutely do. And I mean, let's face it, you can go and you can buy likes, you can buy subscribers. You can go to websites and do that. And there's click fraud and there's all kinds of things out there. If you're going to build a fake audience, you're just not going to convert.
Right.
I'd rather
That's
have
the
a
real
small
point. I mean,
audience
the problem,
that converts.
yeah, doing that is not a good idea for so many reasons. One, if you're caught, everything gets shut down. Two, you're not building the type of audience that's organic to you. You want to attract those people who you attract and repel those people who you repel. And it's so important to be able to do that organically, and we're going to be able to do it consistency. But let's talk about getting, this is one of my favorite topics, getting the name off of the social media platform, off of Facebook, off of LinkedIn, off of YouTube, off of Instagram, and off of Twitter, and onto your list, right? because the most valuable asset in your law firm is your list and your relationship with that list. If you want more referrals, build a sizable list and communicate with that list regularly so that they'll be happy to give you referrals so you're top of mind. If you offer multiple practice areas, your number one weapon to grow each particular practice area is to develop practice areas that are in congruency with your other practice areas and market those practice areas through relationships to your existing list. So in order to build a list, we can, build it, borrow it, or buy it, right? So we can build it by doing what we're about to talk about. We can buy it by advertising, and we could borrow it by sending information to other people's lists. But let's come back to build it. When you build your list, you're basically saying, okay, I'm going to take the person off of Facebook and put them onto my list by using what Erica puts here as a call to action. So Erica, are you finding that people do or don't use call to actions in their social media marketing if they're doing it at all?
Well, some of my clients do, and I absolutely always suggest, if you have a landing page, if you have some other call to action, make an appointment, whatever. And I also suggest if something kind of dies out and isn't working as much, you change it up. If you have a new mini book or if you have a white paper, it doesn't have to be a big deal. It might even be, hey, watch my next video, on this page, and it can be special.
How about on YouTube videos, or even, anywhere really, I guess, but let's specifically stay with YouTube. One of the things we talk about is whenever you're posting to YouTube, we should, what I learned this from Michael, is make sure we always say, like, subscribe, comment, right? We're always asking them to engage with us. Do you try to do that on all of your call to actions whenever you can to try to get them to engage?
I mean, we do that sometimes. And if it's something where you can add it to the end of your video, they don't always watch to the end.
Right.
I try to put a little blurb at the beginning sometimes.
Beginning, right.
You could. I mean, there's just so many arguments about, oh, I don't want it to be longer. I want to jump right in. And there's truth to that too. So you really just have to test out what's good for you and your audience.
Yeah, good. So call to action. So when you're talking about if you're going to put an inspirational quote out there, we're not going to put an inspirational quote out there with a call to action, or are you?
Well, I mean, the inspirational quote is going to have your contact information on it and your logo, but in the written part where your post is, there's the picture and then there's the written part. That's where we would have the inspirational quote, and under that, hey, if you would like information on our XYZ book, you can go to this link, and we can put that on anything. I mean, the only time I don't do that is maybe for we just had Patriot Day yesterday. Mm-hmm. It seems a little tacky to have a call to action on a serious day, Yeah. So I try to be careful with that, but most things you can add a call to action anywhere, anytime in the post part.
Good. All right. So you move to the next slide. I'll do a little infomercial here just to make sure everybody who just may have joined, I saw we've had a few more people pop on since we started. Just so you know, we're talking about, if you hate social media like I hate social media, that doesn't mean it's not a valuable part of your practice. So we need to figure out how to use social media to generate leads for your law firm without driving you crazy. And I'm on with Erica Merrill, who in Perfect Legal Video, who's walking us through kind of some of the tips, tools, and tactics and strategies that she's used through the years working with law firms to help them figure out what kind of posts they should have. So these are some of the inspirational posts. Now, this is interesting because sometimes you just see inspirational posts on social media and you think, oh, you're just putting the quote out there. But no, you're actually making it visibly appealing. Is that correct, Erica?
Yeah. And I know, and the whole Dan Kennedy thing, things can be ugly and those get noticed too. But sometimes on social media, you just want it to be stunning. And, you can see where, some of these will have, call today, like we started adding that to attorney Robert Geller's and some of the later posts. And, we do definitely have the call to action in the written part of the post. So yeah, these are, some of my favorite ones. But I have so many favorites every week. We try to make them as stunning as possible and as noticeable.
Cool. All right, good. What's next? I love it.
Here's a few tips about testimonial marketing before we show you the testimonial marketing ones. Yeah. Testimonial marketing is definitely one of the best ways to market your business. And one of the cool things that we've done, and I did promise I give you a few new ideas. You can do this on your own through Zoom, is to have a panel discussion, and that can be with one of your clients. And so, if you have a client that's willing to go on and talk about, what their life was like before they met you, what they came to you for, what was the process like, and what is life like now, and would they recommend you? There's usually just a few questions that'll get the best sound bites for marketing. Then you can take those sound bites and you can put those on individual posts, and you can put them in writing in some of the places where you can't have video. And there's a lot of great things that you can do with that. And so we've had some really nice panel discussions with attorneys, and even with embarrassing things like divorce or bankruptcy. There are clients that'll do it if you just ask. And and professionals too. It's worked out really, really great. We use those in some of the sizzle reels now as well. Some of the clips from those.
Well, I agree. I think what's interesting is most attorneys will tell you, my clients won't. My clients went through this particular thing, sex offender case. So they won't ever give me their name, let me use their name in the testimonials. That's not true. We've had attorneys who literally specialize in helping sex offender cases be defended. And in those cases where they were successful in their defense, there are people who actually are willing to put their name and their face as a testimonial for that attorney. You might think, oh my gosh, how is that possible? It's possible because we convince the attorney to ask. And so there's nothing more, one thing that social media has done has made the transparency effect very, very high. So it used to be, before social media, you can get away with putting somebody's first name or initials or something as their testimonial. Today, with all the review channels that are out there and the way that social media works, it's just not as credible. And so getting somebody to be part of your social media testimonial platform, whether that be using their face, their name, their city, coming on a panel and interviewing, it makes everything much more believable and much more powerful. And I would tell you, all you have to do is ask. You're not going to get all yeses, but you'll get just enough yeses so that you can start down this process. And the better you get at asking, the better you'll get at getting yeses from your clients to use them in a testimonial promotion on your website, especially when you do it in a way, or not on your website, but on your social media. And so, especially if you do it in a way that brings value to your members, to your clients, to your followers, so that you're sharing information. Because remember, those people who are wondering if they should do business with you have some emotional situation they're going through right now. And when you can have a conversation with somebody who's already gone through that, and like Erica said, what did life look like before? What happened to you? What did life look like as you were going through that? Why did you choose us? What does life look like now? That kind of formula. All of a sudden you see this emotional component that happens, and your prospects start going, that's a firm I'd like to do business with because I like how they handled Mr. Smith, Mrs. Smith, whatever. So Erica, you were going to share a picture of what some of the testimonials look like. Is that what you were going to do?
Yeah, no, I absolutely am. I just wanted to mention really quick that this is also where you can take those clips, turn them into, if you don't get somebody on camera, which is tough, but like back to that, if you get one person on camera, that's enough. I mean,
right.
You get one good one, you want to keep trying to add, but if you can start with one, that's absolutely huge for your credibility. But we've also turned the written testimonials into engaging posts as well. We could turn them into video. They may not have the person's face, but they can see the words, and it's really emotionally jarring sometimes to see what people write and to add the dramatic music to it and everything. It's just a new way to show people what you can do for them.
Perfect. I love it. Take a written testimonial, turn it into a video. So when you have written testimonials like this, you could then take those words, imagine, as simple as a black screen, white letters, and each line, let's say in that second testimonial, is a screen, and you can have those words up there. You can have music play, have the screen scroll, do a screen capture, create a video for it, and all of a sudden you've got a video testimonial that can be added to YouTube, optimized with tags, put descriptions, have call to actions, and brand your firm. And so you can now, this is what Kennedy always taught us, like whenever you make, a ham for Easter or whatever is your thing, you take the ham bone and you make pea soup, right? Use as many parts of the animal as you possibly can. Don't let anything go to waste. When you've got a written testimonial, why not make a video out of it? I completely agree. Anything else you want to cover here?
Actually, for this one, for example, we'd always kind of make it match, but I have B-roll of bees. It's a beautiful video of bees and they're busy, and it's kind of, and we've done elephants with African music in the background, talking about the intelligence of a law firm, happened to be in the quote for the testimonial. So there's just like a lot of interesting things that you can do to just instill, you can just, people will really like you and use you because they feel like they know, like, and trust you after they watch it.
Yeah, it's perfect. Great. What's next?
All right. So just a little discussion on blog. I'm blocking part of my own thing. What are the benefits of expert interviews, panel discussions, vlogs, blogs, and podcasts?
Yep.
So obviously, I mean, this is something you teach all the time. The first thing you tell people to do is to, write a book, and it immediately turns you into an expert. And anytime I start a new service, certainly when I started this new company, I wrote a book, and now I have several books that have to do with social media and video, and that helps because people walk away with it. It doesn't have to be big. All right, so you're a subject matter expert through everything else that you do, where you're putting your information out there and answering frequently asked questions. If you're doing this on a regular basis, you're going to stay top of mind for referrals. I mean, we don't talk about it enough, but attorneys get a big percentage of their business every year from referrals. And so the other thing you can do with panel discussions is have some of those referral sources on and talk about, and we've done this many times, how does divorce affect bankruptcy and vice versa? Like, what if you're going through a divorce and you have to file for bankruptcy? Well, there's a series of questions that help people that are going through that one specific situation. And now you can use that video to help your friend, the divorce attorney, if you're the bankruptcy attorney, who's never done anything like this, and they are forever in your debt. You're absolutely going to be the first one that they refer if you invite them onto your platform where you're getting your information out there. It's just like you said, like sometimes you have to help other people before they help you. And this is a great way to do it.
Yeah, no, using the interview process to develop a relationship with your referrals and post it to your social media is a great way to develop content for you, as well as developing, giving your referral partner kudos by positioning them as your social media star in your content. And that's the more followers you get, the more the more likes you have, the more all the things that you have, and the bigger your audience is, the easier it is to get better and better high quality credentialed interviews for your, whether it be, from a podcast to a blog to a vlog to a video you're going to post to YouTube or Facebook. And the reason for that is because the more people you have, that's more people they want to be put in front of. And so the better you get at this and the more you do it, the better quality guests you'll attract. That's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had clients tell me immediately when they started using the social media services and the interviews that they got more work from current clients. Right. So they got to upsell and get a little more work in there. And I've had some say that they've been all of a sudden magically asked to be interviewed on other shows. And, that's free advertising. And of course they look like an expert to their clients and prospects. So that's really good.
We've got about 15 minutes left. I want to let you keep moving through if you have any other big tips you want them to pay attention to. Yeah. So this is what this would look like if you were advertising for doing some of the interviews and panels. So Valentine's Day dating advice from divorce attorneys, love it.
Fun.
COVID-19 and its impact on the economy, great. I mean, it's right in line with what's happening in the news already. Top 3 reasons that people file bankruptcy, the 2 dirtiest tricks in divorce. I mean, this is headline stuff 101, folks, right? So when you're trying to drive traffic to your content, using good quality headlines that get, that I don't want to call it clickbait, but that's what people are facing, right? Headlines that drag their attention. And no matter how much you know about what marketing is trying to do, it still works. Like, I don't read the news, but I do have a news feed that pops on my phone. And, if I'm really, really bored, and because I don't have social media and I've finished a book on my phone and I'm looking at my phone and I go to the news feeds, interestingly enough, clickbait and good headlines work for me too. And I know what they're doing. So headlines are vital. And if I'm going to choose a headline to read, I'm going to want one that's interesting to me. And so the headlines talk to your divided audience. This is great. Anything you want to say about this? Or you want to show them the next slide?
I mean, I'll just say some of these are panels and some of these are just posts that I made for an interview that I was just having with them, or even a blog.
Yeah.
I mean, the 2 dirtiest tricks in divorce, that was just a blog.
It doesn't have to be a panel. Just because if you don't have a panel doesn't mean you can't do this, which is a great point, right? So to Erica's point, if you're thinking about doing this yourself and you're putting content out there, use whatever you have. And oh, by the way, if you only have one thing, use that one thing over and over again. Just create different ads for it. Create different headlines for it, right? Eric, I would suggest you don't tell your clients, well, listen, I used that free report last time, so we can't ever use that again. No, you run multiple different ads for that same report, not ads, but posts for that same report, correct?
Yeah. And in fact, even with testimonials, sometimes I'll just take a piece of a testimonial and then I'll take another piece of that same testimonial another time. And then maybe 6 months later, I'm using that same testimonial again. And it does, it looks different. I put different B-roll. I make it into a different post. No one's going to remember. It's not always easy to have like 100 testimonials. So sometimes you have to use what you have in different ways. And I love how you brought that up, Rich, because that's absolutely true.
Good. I think that's a huge tip, right? Because I think people worry about running out of content. I tell people all the time, like, Michael's girlfriend Delaney, Michael and I will talk to her all the time. She's like, I feel like I'm running out of things to say. And my answer was, well, go back to all the things you said before and say it differently, right? Just content can be delivered. I mean, I've been doing this for a decade plus, right? This is not my first message about social media. Eric and I have had this conversation before in different formats, but this one looks different. This one feels different. This one has some more timeliness to it, right? You just have to create good quality content that could be repeated, but because it's different enough, it will either, 1, seem different to somebody who watched it last time, 2, it'll be relevant to somebody new who it wasn't relevant to the time before, or 3, somebody new will show up and to them it already is new. So don't be afraid to repeat content and market content through posts with just different looks. Absolutely. Why don't we move on to the next slide? There we go.
Yeah, blogs, here's just some more examples. Yep, exactly. And there can be some little clever things going on in the background, but like, I love these. I love that what you should know about bankruptcy laws. This is pretty much, the article is about education costs and loans. And so there's a little bit of subtlety there. Collateral consequences, it got dominoes on there. And I love this article 81 guardianship, where the leaves are leaving, just like sometimes your memories leave, and you don't have short-term memory anymore, and you need help. And so there's like a lot of little subtle things that you can do to make it more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great example of getting good with identifying the proper visual aids. So let me unpack that a little bit for them, because again, I know they can hire you to do this for them, but we are trying to talk about giving them the ability to do this for themselves. Like, if somebody was going to go do this, I mean, you really can't just go grab any old picture off of Google, because it's probably somebody else's property, and you can't just go take it and use it without getting in trouble, I would imagine. So how they have to use do you use a paid service, or do you have people just going out to the internet finding free use videos that they can use that create this stuff?
Well, I'm not going to give out all of my sources of what I do,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
but I mean, obviously, there's plenty of places where you can get content that other people don't own, and so you want to make sure whatever you're doing, don't just take screenshots and think that that's enough. Everything I do is copyright free, and you can go online and look for copyright free services yourself. I have to have copyright free for everything. The cartoons are from, sometimes they're from the New Yorker or many other places, but I have a copyright free service, so I'm allowed to use it. And I pay for it, so same thing with the video. I mean, it's gorgeous video. The B-roll, we shoot our own too when we're on site, but with this, I buy it and it's expensive. And I get it copyright free.
Right. So the point is that you can go out and do this yourself, but when you start to the more creative you start to get, you're going to have to piece together a bunch of the stuff, which is why you said it takes time, right? So it's more than just putting a post out there. You need to give some thought. So like even just one of these posts, if you don't have a service that does this regularly, you might take the whole week, a little bit of work every time just to do this post, or you might have an assistant that takes the whole week, a little bit of work every day just to get this done and get it right, and iterations back and forth. And so I'm not saying it can't be done. But I'm in many cases, it's not what I want you to be doing as an attorney. I mean, if you're a brand new attorney who has no other business and you have nothing else to do, and you have to go out there and do it with sweat and shoe leather, then by all means, put some effort into grading your organic scenario on your own. But as you develop revenue, part of what you need to be doing is not wearing the $15 an hour hats, right? We want you wearing the hats that generate thousands of dollars an hour. And the only way to do that is oftentimes work with partners that can help you accomplish this with their expertise. So this is about infographics.
Yeah, and the infographics, I'll show you on the next slide, but like this is where you can really get it's very succinctly a bit of information out there that is interesting to your audience. And so we'll look at some of that. This is cool. Can the police lie to you? Mm-hmm. I mean, people are going to be like, what? The police lie? Yes, they do. They lie to get what they want. And that's why you need a good criminal attorney. How easy is it to file bankruptcy from home? Not everybody is aware that you can do things through Zoom. And even though I know everyone is using Zoom for everything, they may not be aware. They might think, well, I just can't file for bankruptcy because of the pandemic. Redemption, that's just educational on a video that we were doing. And this is one of the visuals that I have in a video that I also use to post for social media. So I always try to use everything over and over. How to hire an attorney in Indianapolis. This was really great. Tips and tricks when you're going through a divorce. I mean, it's eye-catching, and people are definitely going to read it if they're thinking of going through a divorce. And then these are the different types of custody. I mean, not everyone knows that there are different types of custody. And, we've got it right here. It's easy for them to consume very quickly.
Right. So an infographic is a piece of information that's boiled down to the nuts and bolts and made to be visually appealing, but also simple to read and simple to follow. And so basically what you've done is, yes, you've used some imagery likely, but there's more text on the page than there is with an inspirational quote or some other headline that's just driving you to go do something else. This is actually giving you a piece of information about the topic that they may be interested. And then if they click on it, it can help them take them to the next step or some way to get a free something or other, or give them a link that shows them, or a phone number that shows them how to just call the office if they've got more questions. Again, just using information in a pretty format to create credibility by showing, how much your firm knows, to make things easily understandable to the consumer. And I love it. I think infographics are a great tool.
And what I do too with these that go in the videos that I happen to be using, I will, every time I post it, I will push them back to either the podcast or the video version of that interview. And I'll say, hey, this is what is redemption? Hey, for more information on this, go to our video interview about XYZ, and I'll push them back. So they'll usually get the original post about the interview, but then they'll get 2 or 3 other posts that push people back if they didn't get it the first time. And so you never know what's going to click with somebody.
Got it. All right. Announcements and how, oh yeah, this is a big one.
Yeah, don't forget the announcements and holidays. I mean, this is more like kind of like the newsletter portion, but if you have a special event coming up, I would say attorney Joseph Mara, he's got a lot. He's always getting interviewed somewhere, or he's got an award, and we'll make a post for an award that he just got. Or he did a really nice long interview. We actually took some infographics, made some infographics from the interview information, but then we also made this announcement post.
Yeah. So be more PT Barnum, right? So whenever you've got something going on, you've won an award, you're going to be interviewed, you're going to be out on a panel, you're going to be doing something, promote it. Make sure people know what's happening. Also, don't ignore, entering the conversation that's already going on in their mind. With holidays, we pick and choose the holidays we usually communicate about, but yeah, making sure you're putting yourself out there and entering the conversation that they're already having, and find ways to pivot off of the holidays or leading up to holidays to pivot over to different messages. Holidays are a great excuse, or a great, not excuse, but a great checkbox on your marketing calendar for what you can be doing with organic social media. What else do you have there?
Erica, I just wanted to throw out.
Forgive me, like Amanda runs all of my stuff. So if I call you Amanda 5 times, that's why, because I feel like I'm having a conversation with Amanda right now. So
that's okay. I know it's marketing.
Yeah.
We're all the same person. hopefully. We've got a lot of great ideas, and you talk to it. So, okay. So these are just some of the ideas for my favorite videos that I use in marketing, and they're not all interviews. And many of you know this if you've taken any of my mini books, but things like product explanations, service explanations, the why work with us, they can be big fancy ones like you see on my displays, or it could just be you talking about some of the aspects of why people should work with you, what makes you stand out, testimonials, current events. We talked about client interviews, subject matter interviews. Under expertise, I love talking about how to hire an attorney. And as you saw earlier, we even made it an infographic post from someone's video that they made, actually. So that was like one of the ways. The biggest myths, that is a really good one. I'm sure there's a ton of myths in all of the different types of law. The biggest mistakes people make, nobody wants to make a mistake in their divorce or their bankruptcy or anything else that's going to cost them tens of thousands or maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars, real estate, whatever it is. Process videos are huge. If you are having somebody sign up for a book or an appointment, they may want to have a quick hi from you. Thanks for hiring us, upcoming hearings, all the paperwork. So this was just a really good slide that I had that I thought might be helpful for folks. A lot of this can also be used on social media and make great topics to put out there.
Yeah, this has been really super helpful when it comes to planning out what kind of videos are you going to make. And again, you can make multiple videos on all of these topics. They just don't have to be one, and you can just do them differently, and it'll feel fresh and it'll feel new. Erica, time goes by so fast. We're coming at the end of our world. How would you, if people wanted to get a hold of you, where would you like them to go?
I would say my contact information is on the Richard James website. Should be there. But you can contact me at erica@perfectlegalvideo.com, or you can give me a call. It's also on all of my information too, but it's 617-821-5565. And I was told not to sell, so I didn't sell anything or put anything on here to drive you to something. So I apologize for that. I should have given out a free book or something, but please come see me at my booth next week and get something for free.
No worries. So just to be clear, it's erica@perfectlegalvideo.com.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So erica@perfectlegalvideo.com. I want to thank you for taking some time to share. Any final thoughts you have before we depart today? Any last minute piece of advice we didn't give that you'd like to give?
I mean, I would absolutely encourage everyone to just start small and, don't overwhelm yourself. I mean, that is a lot of information I just gave you. Just pick one thing out of like the 20 or 30 ideas and just start small. And if you need help, certainly give me a call. We have smaller things we can do for you. We have larger packages. I mean, we have something for everyone. So.
Great. I appreciate you and investing the time. Anybody who's thinking about social media, wondering how to do it, wondering how to improve the social media presence that they already have, if they're either doing it on their own or trying to figure out, okay, I know that this needs to be done and I'd like to have somebody else do it. I think you not only gave them great advice, but also a window into the fact that you know what you're doing. Eric, I really appreciate you being on today, being part of our family. And for all of you in EA Nation, thanks for participating. Thanks for asking questions. I hope that you enjoyed the content today. I look forward to seeing all of those that are going to be at Partners Club Live next week. For those that'll be on virtually, we'll have the full hybrid event ready to go for you, and we'll take excellent care of you virtually as well. Thanks so much. Make it a great week. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you learned something about a system that you could put into your law firm so you can build that law firm that supports your lifestyle rather than undermine your lifestyle. I hope that you feel like you're part of our community we call Entrepreneurial Attorney Nation. If you'd like to learn more about what we do around here, the best way to get started is to go ahead and go to our website, therichardjames.com. That's therichardjames.com, and request a free copy of one of our books so that you can take the next step in learning how we can help you build your practice better, one system at a time.